Now what you gotta know about this game is that it's bad. The developers didn't have enough time to finish it, and therefore it sucked. But that's their fault, man. And I mean, what is this? Combat, dude? What am I playing? XCOM 2? People just jumping behind you out of nowhere. Your ranged characters are running all around the battlefield like they got their heads chopped off. It's like if Final Fantasy and Doom had an apostate baby together, and who cares about these characters, man? None of them were as cool as the origin ones. Wait.
I am the Prince of Frelden. I'm telling you.
No, Alistair, what happened to you, man? How'd you become... Oh my god. What have I done to my boy? I see another person who can appreciate Dragon Age 2. So here you are.
Bandit!
Oh my
god, dude,
I think you've wallowed in self-pity long enough. Just face it, Dragon Age 2 wasn't what we hoped it was.
So, not really that long.
I like it. The combat kicks ass, dude.
Alright,
that does it. Get up. We're going.
You know what I'm saying, though? Man, you're such a cool guy, Tegan. I respect you so much. I admire you. You're like a nice guy trying to get his way in this
now
harsh, cruel world
swoop
that we
the hell
live
on
in.
back to Origins,
we're
you
strong enough to do the
orangutan
right
looking
thing. You try
goofy
your
arm
best.
ass. And don't you ever be saying nothing bad about Dragon Age 1 again, you dumb shit.
Please.
Reviewing this game is weird. Beyond my brain foolishly correlating a positive emotional state from my childhood with the memory of playing the first Dragon Age, also because Dragon Age 2, No Straight People for You, is a hodgepodge of sometimes brilliant game design, with the occasional complete immersion-breaking mess or two. I know I wasn't being very serious earlier, so let me reiterate. This game had a rushed development. Keep this theme in mind. Now, I crushed through this game in a week replaying it, and managed a shockingly thorough playthrough while doing so. And the entire time, there was this ever-present feeling of something missing, like the game hadn't been given a fair shake. Weird inconsistencies and half-measures, making parts of the game come out half-baked. For instance, you can't equip your companions with armor, just weapons and jewelry, which isn't that bad, I guess, even if it was a feature in the previous title. But then again, it feels odd because the player is literally given half of the best armor set in the game, making collecting high-level armors, which is a thing in the game, meaningless. So it feels like gearing your companions was originally an intended feature that they didn't have time to finish. Otherwise, they'd have put all this effort into creating cool endgame armors just to make them irrelevant. And they clearly ran out of time to do some of the story branches too. During a bunch of the quests, you get these Pokemon RPG feeling moments. It's like, oh, champion, can you help me out? No! Oh, but come on, man. Well, alright. Like, damn, let me tell this chick to go f*** herself, man. I talked to my brother about this, and he pondered that this was intended to show how you don't always have control over certain things, which is certainly a theme of the game. Unfortunately, I had to assure him that there are enough silly instances of every dialogue path having the same outcome that it definitely indicates some deeper issue.
All right then. Bit of a tit, your brother.
And there are more weird story moments that don't feel right. Not to spoil anything big, but for instance, there are moments during the story where major fighting throughout the city breaks out. Like, you'll be seeing civilians getting dragged off and butchered as you run through all the chaos, but at no point does anyone in your party stop to worry about the well-being of any of the friends you've made during your adventures. I remember very specifically I was standing outside one of your family members' houses surrounded by fire and death, and there wasn't even a little dialogue blurb of like, oh, I hope my family's okay since they can't fight, that really killed my immersion. Which sucks, because the game starts strong. While playing through Act 1, I thought I'd be replaying the game for twice as long as it ended up taking me. Sadly, the game quickly begins to run out of steam. By Act 2, discounting the main story and the throwaway fetch quests, 90% of the quests you get are nothing but companion quests.
Merrick Tethras, at your service.
Which help endear the cast to the player, but do nothing to further entrance me into the world of Kirkwall. It's like I was missing part of my meal. Act 2 is definitely where you start feeling the finish this shit up pedal get slammed down on the developers. There are a lot less colorful remarks made by your companions during side quests. Interesting hand-animated camera angles during dialogues become rarer and rarer. Companions gave their opinions a lot during Act 1, which made the player further consider what consequences their actions could have, not only on the story, but on their relationship with their party. But in later acts, you'll go through whole quest lines with zero input from anyone in your party and still have to reload a save or two because your mute companion apparently had a very strong opinion on how that last quest got resolved.
You serious?
Where's my friend who cracks a fart joke after witnessing a brutal slaughter?
Fart me a lullaby. It's a memorial.
Why are you all so freaking serious all the time? Lighten up, it's just a video game!
There are some instances of more obvious corner cutting, presumably to save time to work on more important aspects of the game, which is smart from a developer standpoint, but sadly leaves the player to deal with some of the jank mentioned. Almost all of the game's areas are reused at least once, usually dozens of times, and none are particularly nice looking. I could count on one hand how many times something in the environment popped out and made me stop to admire it. I mean, these areas are fine to run through once and you'd be like, oh, I'm in a cave or a warehouse dockyard thing. But you don't go through them once or twice. You visit these places all the time and they don't get any prettier. No little detail you pick up on your 11th time through, no sense of the city feeling lived in, just straight-lined walls with most people pushed off to the side, huddled in groups. Makes the whole city feel like it's filled with kids on recess. And worse, lots of these places are also confusing to navigate, having samey rooms with samey narrow pathways connecting them. You'd get lost even after your 7th time through. I'd constantly get turned around and have to check my map for quest markers. Oh wait, there's no quest markers! The quest marker only tells you which area to be in. From there you gotta whip out the journal and read the quest description, which tells you to go to a nondescript cave outside of a camp surrounded by 3 unhelpfully labeled nondescript caves. Not the biggest deal, because ironically the small areas don't take too long to search all the way through, but my gaming experience wasn't exactly improved each time I had to stop what I was doing and read the 3 sentences the BioWare intern wrote to direct me where to go next. But despite all of this, I was still enjoying myself. There's a good deal of thought put into things like throwaway bandit fights. Whereas you go through the different acts, the unique low-town gangs change to reflect the lore of this being a turbulent undercity. With the passing of some years, a new strongman rising to rule the streets. These small details bring fictional places like Kirkwall to life. The voice acting is great, even for the nobody characters, and this all helps to immerse you into the setting.
Well, you're too late. The Winters, I have already claimed him.
Sirrah, if I must go back, so be it. But I will not see these murderers rewarded.
Spoiled shit! I'll cut out your tongue and charge extra for bringing you back quiet. And as for you, I could do with some entertainment while we wait for the others.
There's solid stuff here. The developers took a chance coming off the massive success of Origins to actually try and evolve the series. There's no reliance on characters from previous games. The developer tried an interesting perspective shift, trying to confine the player to a small, rich fantasy cityscape setting. Redesigns like the Kunari and Flemeth look fantastic. And what I praise this game most for looking back on it is that it didn't fall into the action movie sequel spiral where the newest release has to have the craziest story, bigger stakes, bigger explosions than all the ones before it. How do you follow the grand tale of a hero who united a nation at war to stand side by side in order to defeat a corrupted old god and its horde of darkspawn? Well, you're a refugee from a village destroyed off-screen in 2 games. A literal nobody hobo. Nobody special besides some magic blood running through the family. I adore this approach, and I'll have more to say about this method when I contrast it with Dragon Age 3's protagonist. But suffice it to say, I struggle to flat out hate this game. If you stitch together all the great things about it, the strong companion quests, interesting moral dilemmas paired with impactful decision-making, the very real feeling of progression as you go from a refugee to influential figure in the city, and back it all up with a large overarching story mirrored across 3 acts as you leap through time, to see how your actions have affected your home, it sounds amazing. Like it could have been, dare I say it, the greatest Dragon Age game ever. But it wasn't! This game is marred by its development cycle. There are glimpses of what this game could have been, but ultimately, there's just no getting away from the fact that Dragon Age 2 just doesn't measure up. If you play it with no expectations, you'll probably enjoy it, but to anyone who has played another BioWare game, whether that's KOTOR, Mass Effect, or one of the other Dragon Age games, you're gonna feel like you've missed something. Ultimately, I think this is an alright game, but there's a reason I've replayed it the least out of the franchise. Oh, the story? Well, put it simply, it's kind of like... Anders, what have you done? I liked you better in Awakening anyway.